Shalom, everybody. It's good to get in touch with your beautiful selves. I hope you and your families are doing well. I hope you are having a great time being at home surrounded by family. I wanted to start by reading a quote because I know you haven't seen my face for a while. So, in case you don't remember, I'm teacher Samantha. I know Miss Heather has been doing a great job reading you stories. And Mazel Tov on finishing the Aleph Bet. I'm sure you all traced your letters very well with your magic pointer fingers. I know you'll be practicing through the summer, so you're ready for first grade. That's a fun one when you'll be doing a lot of writing the letters. So I'm very excited you finished learning the Aleph Bet. And now let me start with a quote by Hillel. It is the name you will hear often in Sunday school and throughout your adult life even. Hillel is a very important person who has said some very wise things, and you might find this quote relatable. So let's see. Hillel said, "Do not separate yourself from the community." It spoke to me right now because I feel very separated from you. I feel very separated from community, and I feel very separated from the world. It's a very different time, so I wanted to just reach out and give you a virtual hug. And I wish I could hug you all. I wish I could rub your back and say Shalom. We're going to have a great class, but I'm not going to separate myself today because I get to say it virtually. So, Shalom. Let's start with our song. And for me to say Shalom Havarim, Shalom to each and every one of you. Now, I know my voice isn't as beautiful as Miss Heather's, but let's sing with me, please. Let's see how many friends we can remember. As I say their name, please give a virtual hug to your friends and know that you will be giving them a hug very soon, hopefully. So, Shalom Tabitha, Shalom Riley, Shalom Ethan, we're glad you're here today. Shalom Journey, Shalom Adam, Shalom Avi, I'm glad you're here today. Shalom Deborah, Shalom Connor, Shalom Kylie, we're glad you're here today. Shalom Eli, Shalom Eitan, Shalom Reagan, I'm glad you're here today. Shalom Zoe, Shalom Avery, Shalom Aaliyah, we're glad you're here today. Shalom Teacher Heather, Shalom all my Madrahim, I'm glad you're here today. Now, I started with a quote and we sang our song. I know you've done your alphabet and you're doing it very well. I know you'll practice through the summer, but something I'm not sure we've done a lot of are numbers. I wonder if any of you, if your parents are watching too, if you can turn to them or your brothers and sisters and share what numbers you might remember. Numbers are a little tricky, I think, since we don't do them often. So let's try now. Can you say it with me? We'll start with number 1, but we won't say number 1. We'll say it in Hebrew. Echad. Echad. Please say it with me and raise your number 1. Echad. Shtaim. Say it with me. Shtaim. Shtaim. Shalosh. Shalosh. Say it with me. Shalosh. Arba. Arba. Say it with me. Arba. Hamesh. Hamesh. Say it with me. Hamesh. So we've got 1 through 5 now, right? Can we try saying it all together? Achad, Shtaim, Shalosh, Arba, Chamesh. Very good. Did you remember all that? Okay. So 1 through 5. Let's say it all together with 6 through 10 once we finish. So let's say it with me just like we did before. I'll say it and you repeat. Okay, ready? So we have Achad, Shtaim, Shalosh, Arba, Chamesh. Can anyone guess what's next? I bet this will sound somewhat familiar. Sheish, sheish, sheish. Shava, shava, shava. Shmone, shmone, shmone. Tesha, tesha, tesha. Eser, eser, eser. Are we ready to say it together now? Echad, shtaim, shalosh, arba, chamesh, sheish, shmone, tesha, eser. I'm sorry, I missed one, didn't I? Did you catch that? I know I missed one. What did I miss? I think I missed Sheva. Is that what I missed? Okay, let's start over because it's good practice and everybody makes mistakes. I'm getting used to this video thing too, so it's okay. All right, starting over. Echad, shtaim, shalosh, arba, chamesh, sheish, sheva, shmone, tesha, eser. Good job, everybody. Now, I would like to read a story. Some of you might have this at home if you receive your PJ Library book subscriptions, or you might have checked it out at our temple library, which I know I miss very much. I know my son is missing very much, but hopefully you have some good books. If not, please let me know. I'd be happy to read some more to you virtually, or suggest some, send you links for some. So let's get started. This one is a favorite. King David and Akavish, the spider. Who likes spiders? You know all the bugs are coming out. Hopefully you're going for walks and enjoying your mornings or your evenings. You're getting outside and having fun out there. Okay. A light breeze blew over the hills of Judea as David, a young shepherd boy, watched his sheep grazing. Do you know what grazing is? It means eating. So they're eating possibly the grass. Suddenly his stomach growled. Guess I'm getting hungry too, David smiled, heading over the shade of a nearby tree. Oh, look at that cute sheep right there. Eating his bread and cheese, David looked at King Saul's palace in the distance and wondered, what would it be like to live in the palace? As he wiped the last crumb from his mouth, he noticed a spider's web stretched between the branches of the tree. That web is a perfect target for me to practice my aim, he thought. Can everyone see the web? He took the sling he used to frighten away wild animals and protect his sheep, and hurled a small stone at the web. David reloaded his sling and prepared to fling another stone. Can everybody prepare their sling? Get ready to fling a stone? But, stop. He heard a small little voice. It said, please stop. Why should I stop? Said David out loud. It's just a web. It may be just a web to you, but it's my home, said a little spider, dangling from the torn web. I'm sorry, Akavish, gulped David, using the Hebrew word for spider. Can I help you rebuild it? Are you as good at spinning as you are with a sling? Asked the spider. David shook his head. No, I'm afraid not, he said. Then just leave me to my work and promise me that you won't disturb my web when I'm done. David nodded and began playing a tune on his lyre, the small stringed instrument he loved. He watched Akavish move back and forth, weaving in time to the music. Wow, I never knew how much work goes into building a web. Have any of you thought about that? How beautiful the web shape is, and when you see a web, maybe in your garage, maybe out on a bush or a tree somewhere in nature, take some time and look closely at these beautiful patterns and think about this little spider spinning. Just as the sun began to set, the little spider finished. It took a lot of work. It's too dark to head home now, yawned David, but this cave will be a perfect shelter for me and my sheep. Good night, Akavish. Good night, shepherd boy. I enjoyed your music, replied Akavish. You may call me David. Good night, David, Akavish said softly. During the night, the wind howled. David felt snug and warm inside the cave with his sheep gathered around him. Then he remembered the little spider. Oh no! I'd better make sure that Akavish is all right. When David peered out of the cave, he saw Akavish clinging to his torn web. Can you see him down there clinging? Suddenly, the web broke away from the tree. David gently caught the little spider and carried him into the warm cave. Thank you, David, said Akavish. You saved my life. Maybe one day I will save yours. David smiled, thinking, how can a tiny little spider ever help me? Do you think a little thing could ever help something great and so much bigger than themselves? Let's find out. As David grew older, he became an expert with the sling. He not only used it to protect his sheep from bears and lions, but against King Saul's enemies too. There he is, using his sling that we all practiced. Take your sling, draw it back, and only send a virtual rock to slay the lion or protect himself from the lion. The king liked the brave young man. He invited him to live in the palace, where David became good friends with King Saul's son, Jonathan. David often played his lyre for the king and his son, who both loved his music as Akavish did so long ago. At first, King Saul was glad that everyone liked David, but soon he became jealous. One morning, Jonathan heard his father shouting, "The people like David better than me. My own son spends all his time with David. This boy wants to take my place as king. Find him. Arrest him at once." Jonathan hurried to tell David about the king's plan. "Run into the hills and hide. His friend is protecting him." David ran as fast as he could. Oh my goodness. Look at him running away from the horses, the men chasing him. He hid behind bushes, rocks, and trees. Every time the soldiers came near, he would find another hiding place. Soon, he was in the very spot where he had watched his sheep as a boy. King Saul's soldiers were not far behind. David dashed inside the cave he once used for shelter. He was so tired of running. And although very, very frightened, there he is, running, hiding in the bushes. David closed his eyes and fell fast asleep. Does anyone see something in the shadows? See that? I wonder what's coming next. A loud voice woke David. It was a soldier shouting, "Look, there's a cave. Could he be hiding in there?" David held his breath. as running feet headed his way. Suddenly, they stopped. David heard another soldier exclaim, "No! See that web covering the entrance of the cave? It would be broken if David were inside." The soldiers hurried away. When they'd left, David looked up and saw Akavish dangling from the roof of the cave. "You saved my life long ago," the spider said, "and I told you, one day I would save yours." David looked with wonder at the web covering the entrance of the cave and remembered how sure he was the little spider could never help him. "I see now that strength and might don't always save the day. Thank you, Akavish." Let me show you. I'll see if I can get it close to see the beautiful web covering the whole cave. How can anyone get through that beautiful web? Nobody would have gone through there, right? The mighty strong Akavish to have spun that web so quickly. David never forgot Akavish. Years later, when he became king, David always remembered small acts of kindness can make a difference in great and surprising ways. Did you all see what he's playing? That is a lyre, that instrument. Sounds sort of like a harp, like a tiny handheld harp. It's a stringed instrument, just like a violin is a stringed instrument. So he's playing the lyre for his friend, Akavish. And what did he say? Let's read that one more time, because this is the part I really enjoy about this story. David always remembered that small acts of kindness can make a difference in great and surprising ways. The end. Now, what do you think is the reason I might have picked this story to share with you? I would love it if you can think of great acts of kindness. And as we learned, acts of kindness don't have to be big giant webs. They can be something that is meaningful to you, something that you do well, a little thing that you can do that you think is ordinary. Maybe you can color a beautiful rainbow, and you can color a rainbow every single day. So it might not be a big deal to you, but do you know who it might be a big deal to? It might be a big deal to someone you love. Now, Sunday, tomorrow, is a special day with a word I would like you to repeat after me in Hebrew, Ima. Ima. Does anyone know what Ima means? I know some of you call your parents and grandparents by Hebrew names and Hebrew words rather. Ima means mom. So it's Mother's Day. And I hope all of you can think of a great act of kindness or a small little act to you that can mean something in such a great way to your Ima. And make sure you say Happy Mother's Day, Ima. And with that, I'm going to leave you for today or this week, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you liked my story time, if you would like me to read another book. I know this is my first video, so hopefully the next one might be a little brighter or I'll have practice, but either way, I would like to say Shalom. Happy Mother's Day, Emas out there. I hope that you all could give your kids a virtual hug, and I'm going to say Shalom. I miss you. Bye, friends.